Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a review of the brand new, hot off the presses, Bruckner Ninth, featuring Iván Fischer and his redoubtable Budapest Festival Orchestra. Let me say right away that we are not exactly screaming for more Bruckner Nines, are we? But this one is different from all the other ones out there, and not in a bad way. So that is a plus to begin with. You know, the sound of this orchestra is so beautiful. And for that, Fischer deserves tremendous credit. He really does. The string playing is exquisite. The massed brass and winds are full and rich, but never harsh. They make the most gorgeous corporate sonority. It's full and it's big, but it doesn't ever turn crude or raw. Now, don't get me wrong. I sometimes love crude and raw, especially in moments in this symphony. For example, there's Joachim with the Staatskapelle Dresden, which is absolutely an expressionist masterpiece of powerful expression. And it has edge. It has lots of edge. This does not have edge. It is still beautiful and expressive and lovely, but it is rounded. And beautifully so. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's simply a different approach. I'm not criticizing it in that sense at all. But what do we say about the interpretation? Well, it's a flowing interpretation. It is not a static or monumental or ostentatiously metaphysical view of the work. It has wonderful lyrical qualities, and that's what really sticks in the mind. For example, the second subject of the first movement. Da 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 da. I'm doing that. Isn't that horrible? Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. That's better. Well, a little bit. It's flowing and it's rather swift. The outer movements, or let's put it this way, the first movement and the adagio, which is the outer movement in this case, are both about 23 minutes long. Now, if you know your Bruckner Nines, you know that that's by no means on the slow side. That's actually rather quick. And so they are. But the sections are very, very well contrasted. And I think the first movement is absolutely gorgeous. Really, really beautiful. And it loses nothing by being played with a certain fluidity. The scherzo, I think, is a bit too fast, actually. It's very quick. It's very light. It's almost Mendelssohnian, which, you know, that means that the contrast between the outer sections and the really Mendelssohnian trio aren't as strong as they could be. I also think that the rhythm of that scherzo, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 you know, it loses a little something of its sort of sledgehammer-like power when you play it, da-da-dum, bum, 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 da-da-dum, bum, 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 ba, 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 you know, I just think it needs to have more punch than Fischer gives it. But again, I accept the validity of the interpretation. It's all of a piece. It's marvelously played, and I enjoyed listening to it. I really did enjoy it. I'm a little bit critical only because I know how it can go in those other performances where it's played with a bit more sharpness and oomph. Now, the adagio, for me, is actually the weakest part of the symphony in this performance. And it's not weak in the, you know, absolute, like, horrible, awful, terrible sense. It's just weak in terms of what I know it can sound like, particularly things such as those, you know, the cosmic void interlude, when it's going, ba, da, 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 no one's going, what, da, blah, you know, like that. That has to just be bigger, heavier, a bit more, you know, just more cosmic sounding, with the tremolos and all that. Fischer sort of blows through it. And I find that, for that reason, to be a little bit disappointing. And so the, you know, on the plus side, though, it really moves. I mean, it moves really, really well. It's one of the least static performances of this adagio you're ever going to hear. And as I said, the string playing is just exquisite. I mean, it's gorgeous. So if you're really listening for things like phrasing and string ensemble and whatnot and timbre, you're gonna be blown away. It's so beautiful. The Sonics on Channel Classics, Channel Classics does wonderful, wonderful recordings. The Sonics are also absolutely gorgeous. So, if I felt that Adagio was a bit of a letdown, it's only because I look for more of a, I guess, because the finale isn't a finale, more finality. I want it to be more of a finale, a little bit more elongated and bigger and more satisfying, not just a counterpoise to the first movement, with similar shape and speed. And so for that reason, this won't be my favorite Bruckner Ninth. It will not be. Or a top recommendation in Bruckner Ninth, simply because of my feelings for how the piece should go. But on the other hand, I would never suggest that you not hear this, because it is an absolutely lovely, fully realized, totally valid view of the work. It really, really is. And I would be remiss in my obligation to you if I didn't say that, because I was so impressed in virtually every moment by just how lovely and fully formed and well realized Fischer's conception of the work is. It's just terrific from that point of view. So, not my favorite, but by no means a negligible Bruckner Ninth. It is a meaningful and beautiful performance of the work, and on that basis, I do recommend it. I really, really do. I think that Bruckner people, of course, they're going to listen to it anyway because they listen to everything, but even normal people might want to give it some serious consideration, especially if you find Bruckner to be usually too heavy and galumphy. I mean, this is so elegant and refined, and in the best way. Not micromanaged, not annoying, sculpted and shaped and lovingly presented, and beautifully, beautifully recorded by Channel Classics. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Take care.